Hello, everybody. Welcome to another live demo here with Etcher Studio. I am your host, Marian, and I'm really excited to have Carlos Martin Alvarez coming from Spain, I believe. Yep, to do a wonderful live demo here today. Thank you so much for joining us on this Tuesday morning. If you're elsewhere in the world, in Europe, in Asia, wherever, please let us know in the chat right now. You can also say Llama. Just to make sure that I know you're alive and you're watching this. But we'd love to see how worldwide we are. So go ahead and chime in the chat where you're from, where you're watching from, and how excited you are for today's demonstration. So real quick housekeeping here. We do have a reference photo for today's live demo. It is in the video description of this video, but I can also post a link in the chat in case you guys want to have it with you and follow along. This is a shorter demonstration. We do not expect you to paint along. However, you're more than welcome to give this painting a try after our demo is over today, and share it with us on Instagram or in our Facebook group if you'd like to see, if you'd like to share with us how you did. Wow, okay, we got Maria from Spain, we got Luxembourg, Madrid, Lisbon, Portugal, Ontario, Germany. Carlos, we're all over the world here today. This is amazing.
Quite international audience.
Yeah, quite an international audience. This is one of the things I love about Etcher. We're all over. Diane, don't feel so anxious. We're very nice. I promise you we won't bite. And Carlos is really great at what he does, so it's gonna be fine. Take a deep breath and get yourself settled today. We're gonna have a really fun time here. If you have any questions for Carlos throughout the demonstration, feel free to let us know in the chat. You can all caps the word questions so that I can see it a little bit better. But I will try not to interrupt Carlos too much today because we want to see him paint into completion. So if it's not immediately relevant, I'm going to save it for the Q&A at the end. I'm not ignoring you. We just want to give Carlos as much time as possible so that he can finish his demonstration within the allotted time. Okay, there will be information about his mini workshop that he will be doing later. I also will put that in the chat, but if you have any questions about what he's going to do for the mini workshop, also feel free to ask in the chat and we'll do our best to answer all of your questions here today. Okay, I think that's it. So Carlos, I'm gonna go ahead and let it go on to you. Let us know what we're doing here today.
Okay, first of all, I'm thrilled to be here with you. Thanks to Etcher to give me this opportunity to share a bit of my art and specialize today in watercolors. What we are going to do today, as you might already know, it's this picture. Okay, so as you can see, we are trying to recreate our own lighthouse with a sunset. This is from Menorca, from my last holidays 1 month ago. So, well, I find it especially interesting for watercolors because we have different kind of colors here. You know that in watercolors, one of the things that make them very special is when everything is melted, and we are going to achieve this process here. Then we have here some architecture that this is something that really defines me. It's something very from my style and my art, and then we have all the reflections, etc. This is a small watercolor. In this case, it's like double a postcard, and well, we are going to do a fresh sketch because we have 25 minutes more or less to finish it. This is going to happen today, but in 3 weeks, the mini workshop is coming, and hopefully, if you like it, you can join me because we are going to do something much more impressive in this case. This is going to be a cityscape or a seaside from Venice. That is one of my favorite cities, and it's one of the cities where every corner could be a watercolor. That's why I love it. And we are going to learn how to turn this into something similar to this. Okay, it's not the same example. Obviously, this kind of size you cannot achieve it in 1 hour and a half, but it's going to be smaller. But still, we are going to look again. We are going to look to find this kind of style. Okay, as I told you, architecture is something that really defines me. In Venice, it's obvious you can find it, while you find also You can find also all the skies and all the water. This is another work that I really finished. It was like 1 month ago, 2 months ago. This is from Spain, Callao. And here is a mixture using this etcher. This is something that I really discovered like 3 months ago, this kind of black graphic pen, and I'm really addict right now. I can say that I'm kind of junkie about that stuff because well, they have very good details. They are subtle, and at the same time, then we have another ones that are thinner. So we can achieve different effects, and then obviously the watercolor always in my work. And just to finish before starting with another example, it's difficult to show this kind of stuff here because we don't have enough space. But you see this kind of stuff that I like, no? These wet on wet colors. So we are going to achieve this sunset feeling. So I think it's time to start. Okay, so first of all, like always, we are going to start with the pencil here. I'm only going to, let's see, 1 second.
Oh, Carlos, are you still there? Um, your audio isn't on, so no worries. We can pause it real quick so while you get the audio on there. Okay, yeah, so while he works on that, we'll go ahead and just talk a little bit about his mini workshop. He was showing examples of his work earlier. Yeah, and his mini workshop is on November 28th, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, and the photo that he showed you is the reference photo for the mini workshop. There you are. You're back.
Okay. Okay, sorry
Yeah,
about
sorry
that.
about that, everybody. No worries. So I'm going to post a link to the mini workshop here so that you guys can take a look at it and read kind of the details on what he's doing while we're doing the demonstration here today. And Carlos, I'll give you an extra 5 minutes, so that we can go a little over
After
time
the
just in case.
Yeah, sorry about that. Those are the kind of things that happen when you are live and you have this
Yeah.
kind of settings with the mobile and everything together. But it will be fine. I think that we are going to have time. In my case, I don't have problem to stay one more couple of minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. So we are making sure, we are going to ensure that everything is finished and properly finished. Okay.
Sounds good.
Now, can you see properly?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. Okay. So basically, the first thing that we are going to do is to wet. Is to wet not only the sky. Well, in this case, 1 second, because I would like to do a bit drawing here. As I say, sorry, I lost the point here, but I'm there. Okay, we are going to more or less I'm drawing, as you can see, with the lighthouse here. Then we have here a straight element, that is the tower. And more or less, it goes like this. Here start the tower, until here, more or less. And then from here, we have this kind of building, okay? Now, some details. It's not important, as we are not doing ultra realistic painting. It's not that important that every detail, it's more annoying even when you try to represent every detail. More or less what we want is to have the basic forms, no, that are going to be relevant in our drawing. Then we have some element here, some trees here maybe, and then another one here. We are going to build later on. Maybe this is too high, so we are looking for an element that is not that massive. Well, but more or less, you have here the example. Then over here, more or less, is the sun. And then we are going to have a reflection that is wider as we zoom into the first scene, okay? More or less, for a sketch, this is okay. What else? What we are going to do? First of all, we are going to wet. And using, in this case, you should use a brush like this. Well, this is a Sofagua Rafael, but you have many brands that you can use. The important thing is that you use something that is white, like this one, in comparison with the size of your watercolor, and then that really, really retains the water, because you want really to have a paper that is quite wet. Some of the stuff that you can do is that dry the corners just to avoid excess of water. And from here, what we are going to do is that we are going to start looking at the shine of the water. Once you start losing that shine, it's time to get with the color. In this case, my recommendation is to use this kind of really, really soft pencils well, not pencil, brushes, sorry. In this case, it's from Winsor & Newton, and it's Petit Pure Squirrel. This is really soft. And the important thing is that the first step that you do on wet is that the color is more dense than the wet of the paper. This is very important because we are going to avoid to creating strange figures. In this case, we have seen here that the background is somehow yellow and a bit orange even. So I'm using a lot of yellow ochre. You can use well, materials from Winsor & Newton, Ochre, Daniel Smith is another recommendable brand. Depending on the country, you know that here in Europe we use a lot Winsor & Newton, but also Daniel Smith is very popular at the States and also in Australia. So now that the start is starting to dry, and we don't want that to dry because remember, in talking about watercolors, while everything is wet, then it's the perfect time to work. But here we want to keep a bit of white. Okay, again, a lot of yellow ochre and a bit of orange. Cadmium orange is my preference. Here, as we are going through the first scenes, we can use also color that is more vibrant. As we say, this is a sketch, so it's not important. It's not really important that everything is perfect. You should not look for that. But what we have seen here is an homogeneous size. In this case of yellow and orange, kind of mix. Once it starts drying, one thing that we want to recuperate is the white for the sun. So for instance here, well, in this case, you don't want to push too much because otherwise this is happening, you know, but don't worry that much about that. Okay, we have their sunlight, and then we can even create here okay, this kind of feeling, everything is melted. Now we have here darker color, so we should jump into Cobalt Blue. Cobalt Blue is magical. I mean, when you use a good Cobalt Blue, I like very much the one from Winsor & Newton in this case, and I can assure you that it's another league. It's something that really is really transparent and really mix quite well with other colors. That makes the difference, okay, between a good Cobalt Blue and a bad one. And it's something that even if you are using, today we are using about 6 colors. And basically, Cobalt Blue should be always there. This is a must, okay? So we are going to start. As I don't know if you can see it, but I'm painting basically on an easel. This is important for me because you have some inclination, and then you can play with that inclination. And here we can have some. Still, as you see, I'm with this kind of pencil, or brush, sorry, that is very soft because we are working wet on wet, remember. Then we are going to work quite a lot also. Here there is a part that is covered, and then we start with the sun reflections. We can change a bit the color from the beginning till the very first part. We can add more contrast here. And one important thing is that we are going to separate or keep some of the light because those are going to be our later waves. Obviously, we are painting a sea. We need some waves. That's obvious. So those are going to be part of our waves. Here you have some. As far as we have colors that are on wet, again, we shouldn't worry that much about the contrast, okay? Because it's going to melt. It's going to be melted. Okay, it's still wet. As far as it's wet, one good thing that you can do is trying to save this kind of excesses, because otherwise they can create strange figures on that. So this is something that I like to do from time to time. Okay, this is another brush that I love. In this case, is the Ochre number 10. This is not that soft, okay? So this is more permanent. As you can see, the hair is harder. And what I want to do is to emphasize a bit with a more violet color, still with, it's a mix between violet, cobalt violet, and cobalt blue. We can emphasize some of the waves, not that violet, because otherwise it doesn't seem así. Okay. Can you see? Can you see how weird everything is melting? Still, we are going to have this kind of lights that again are going to be you can it's recommendable that you start with one color, but then you start to mix a bit the color, so you don't have that same color everywhere. Okay, we want to create this kind of magical effect. So here is a bit translucent as we are reaching the, I think it's okay. I think it's okay right now. One thing is that we only have like, well, a bit more than 10 minutes left. So
we can have you go on a little bit longer. Yeah.
I know. No, for sure, it will happen for sure. Yeah, one thing that I'm going to do right now is just to I'm going to create this kind of some like sun radiation in any case. Okay, so it's a bit more in this case. Well, this is a Escoda Pearl with white here. It's marvelous also how it works. But at this point, okay, as this is a kind of demo, I'm going to use the hard dryer, and hopefully I don't lose the picture. Okay, remember, I'm going to use it because otherwise, you know that we can be waiting here for half an hour very easily. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So while Carlos
Sorry?
is drying his I'm sorry. Go ahead. Keep going, Carlos. While you're drying the thing, I'm going to have people ask any questions in the chat here. I'm going to mute you real quick until you're done. And then for everyone else, if you got any questions at all so far of his process with doing the reflections or bringing back the lighthouse or anything at all, really, even about his mini workshop, please feel free to put it in the chat. And for those of you who are commenting in Spanish, I cannot read Spanish, nor am I a Spanish speaker, so I do apologize. But if you do have a question, hopefully I can answer it if you can ask it in English. Okay, Carlos.
Okay, it seems like now, sorry about the noise.
No worries.
It was necessary. It was necessary, I promise, Mariana. And so what I'm going to do, I think that is quite harsh. The color here, the reflection is maybe too strong. So I'm going to disguise it a bit. Okay. Yes, looks better for me now. Okay, and Okay, I promise a lighthouse, and what's going on with the lighthouse? Where's the lighthouse? Okay, don't worry, guys. We are just moving into it. Just moving into it. In this case, again, etcher number 10. Okay, with round circle point. Really nice for this kind of details. You are going to see. I'm going to use indigo, a mix of indigo, cobalt blue, and a point of violet. And well, in this case, I cannot even see the picture because it was like very subtle, but more or less it's there. So what I'm doing here is trying to recreate this clearly the lighthouse. Okay, so you can start. You see, it's very easy. Now we need a stronger color logically. Remember indigo, cobalt blue. You can also jump into the Prussian blue or ultramarine. It's also very nice. The important thing is that you start changing the colors. Okay, we are not looking for a completely black picture. This is okay, but it's not the most beautiful option. You will see. The important thing is that you start changing a bit the colors. Let's see, here is a bit more blue, here is like darker, more indigo. And the important thing again is that you work on wet. If you want to recreate a part that is on one piece, it's better if you do it while everything is wet. Okay, we are here moving into tiny details, so I'm going to skip that for a second and look to finish all the rest. As I promised, I'm changing a bit the palette. You can still do this kind of things while it's wet. This is very important, so we achieve a mixture feeling. Now this is somehow the cape, and it's very beautiful. You don't have to become obsessed if something is shown here, because it's really nice. It's really nice when you can see the paper and the texture. It creates, at least it's my opinion, it creates a feeling of, we have another thing here. Okay, so we are going to settle another layer here. Logically, this part should be dark as well. And before it's completely dry, we can build on some little details that gives a bit of texture. Imagine that we have a couple of windows. Everything must be very subtle because it's very dark. And with this etcher pencil, this is the number 1, but you can use, I don't know, number 2, 05. We are going to do the details on the top. Okay. Again, this is not ultra realistic. It's much better than you look for freshness rather than looking for perfection. I mean, or better said, the perfection is not in the detail, in all the detail. The perfection is while everything is pressed, everything is melted, everything makes sense. And I think that here we are achieving something. I don't know what you think, guys, but I'm beginning to be happy with the theme. Here we have an antenna. So we can also build on that. Okay. Here is beginning. You see how all the wet on wet is doing the work, is creating little shapes, one over another. This is what we are looking for, guys. This is what we are looking for. Here I'm creating also a bit of texture. And another thing that I like very much, I don't know what you think. Another thing that I love from sunsets are the gaviots. Oh, gaviots. This is a full French, I guess. The birds.
Birds, yes.
How do you call them?
Birds, yeah, we would just say birds in this part here. Yeah.
They like to.
Little details. Yeah.
And remember, not all the birds are on the same position. This is nothing that you want to abuse, neither. But I think it's quite. There's something magical, no? When there is a sunset with a lot of birds flying, there is something magical in their freedom. And finally, we are reaching the end. Be patient, guys. That was a challenge to paint this 25 minutes.
You did great.
You like it?
Yeah, it looks great. And the people in the chat reminded me it's seagulls. Seagulls is the birds that you're painting there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I will never forget that word in the future. From this point in advance, I promise I will never forget it. Okay, here is darker. You see? Do you want to create this kind of waves? But remember that the closer you come, the larger is the gap, because again, we are talking about waves, and waves become larger when they reach your point of view. I mean, because of the perspective. This is not because the watercolor, this is not because it's Carlos Martín, this is something that is happening in general, okay? And this way we are somehow, you see, must be very free, very, very free. There is no rule here. I don't want you to be obsessed with the forms or with the important thing is the feeling that we achieve. Some bit texture here. And basically, let's see how it works. One thing that I do frequently is to go a bit behind the watercolor. I'm going to dry again for a second. You see?
Okay, yeah, you're muted for now, no Carlos. So yeah, for everyone watching, yeah, if you are enjoying the live demo, please go ahead and check out his mini workshop. Carlos is doing a mini workshop again on Sunday, November 28th, and it will go into more detail with a skyline actually in watercolor with the same technique that he is showing here. The reference photos for the mini workshop is also at this link. If you have any questions about that specifically, about how to create a skyline or a cityscape skyline or whatever to that effect, please feel free to ask about that as well in the chat.
Finally, I mean,
okay.
Well, in another kind of, as this is a sketch, you could continue giving more and more detail, or I don't know, maybe another thing that could be useful. Okay, I wasn't planning to do this, but well, a bit you can do this kind of stuff.
Splattering.
Yes,
yeah.
yes, because we are at the Atlantic Sea, you know, at the Atlantic Ocean, better said. Well, it has a lot of movement and everything, gives more credibility maybe. And another thing that you should remember, I mean, and I have forgotten many times, but you shouldn't, because it's your piece of work, is what you have created. And now, for instance, if you have the video, you can create that beautiful lighthouse or another similar lighthouse, and it's going to be yours. It's not going to be mine. Okay, so one thing that you should do is to place the signature, because hopefully you are happy enough, and you don't have to break the watercolor, you don't have to spoil it. And in this case, well, it's quite, you cannot see it properly because it's quite dark, but almost, as we can say that it's almost done. I'm going to give you a bit of detail.
Oh, I love it. Carlos, the silhouette looks so good. Yeah.
This kind of thing. Sorry about the silhouette of myself. This is what happened when you use a light ring. But in general, you see the effect, isn't it? And it's quite similar. Yeah. You are not looking neither for the 100% realistic painting. If this is the case, I'm not your man, guys. I look more about the drama of the pictures. I love the sunsets because the emotions that they recreate, and in this case, I'm happy. I'm happy with the thing. I don't know what you think. I don't know if you have questions or something like this.
Yeah, so let's leave it up for a Q&A. We'll do a Q&A for a few minutes here. There is one question, Carlos. When you were splattering just now, did you just use water or did you have color in the splattering?
Okay, there are two ways to do it. You can use water, but this is only working when it's wet, when and wet. In this case, as it was dry, because I was drying it, I'm going to, maybe what I'm going to do is to, so you can see me better. No, the thing is that in this case, it was with color, okay? Because I wanted to darken it a bit. You can use also wet on wet. That means using water onto a portion of the painting that is still wet, and it's going to create this kind of flowers or this kind of little figures like stars that are opening. Well, one thing that I like to do always, and forgive me because I have forgotten the best part. This is like a good wine, you know, when you do this.
Oh yes,
this is the magical part when you upgrade your watercolor from good to excellent, you know. I mean, this is basic. It makes the watercolor more dramatic also, and this is one of the most beautiful things that you can do when you are ending the watercolor. So you can see that the color looks brighter in this case. Okay.
Okay.
What else do we have?
I'm not seeing it. Yeah, I'm gonna let you guys try and ask any more questions for now. Otherwise, I'm gonna talk about the mini workshop again. So again, mini workshop is on November 28th, 9 a.m. Eastern, Standard Time. And Carlos, in your own words, because I know I talked about it a little bit already, but in your own words, what would you say people will get out of the mini workshop compared to today's demo?
Well, today we were talking about the sketch. It was simpler. We were looking for the light, for the effects, but obviously it was more limited. One of the things that we are going to upgrade for the mini demo is the size. I'm not used to paint this small, very small size. For me, this is very, very tiny. I am used to paint like at least between 4, 6, 8 times this portion. So this is going to be more like my painting with my pencils. We are going to use more colors, more effects, and more steps. Obviously, the topics is going to be different. It's going to be more challenging. We are talking about Venice. That is, well, remember, is something with much more difficulty. And well, we will have more time logically for asking me questions, for entering into the detail of how do you do this, how do you do that. Basically, this is going to be the difference.
Cool. Very good. Thank you. And I'm not seeing any other questions here, but I'll read some comments here to you. There's a lot of gracias and fantastico in the comments. So a lot of love from Spain over here. And a lot of love your work. And thank you, Carlos. Very nice demo. And I'll just again reiterate, if you are new to Etcher Studio, we do our mini workshops at an affordable $6 US. So this is a great way to support Carlos too, because it's open to a lot of people to come and watch. And you can see Carlos expand on the techniques and the process that he showed you here today. There will be a host as well who will continue to facilitate your questions. If you have any questions about his process or his inspirations or anything to that matter, if you cannot make it live to the US, excuse me, to the mini workshop, you will still get a recording. You'll get an email to that recording a few days after the mini workshop happens. And if we get enough signups, we can have Carlos open a masterclass, which is a longer experience limited to only 10 people. And it would be 2.5 hours long at that point. But it does depend on your support and if we get enough signups. So if you really love what you see here today, please take a look at the link in the video description. If not, it's also in the chat. And if you really enjoyed also today's demonstration, let us know in the comments if you're watching this replay. Let us know in the comments below of this video, what was your biggest takeaway on how to create silhouettes on your watercolor paintings? Was his technique making sense to you? Did you really like how he used the splatters? Let us know how you feel in the comments there below. And Carlos, I'm not seeing any other questions, so I think you were just really great at explaining. So I think we're going to call it a day here today.
Okay, yeah. I think that people need time to do it at home with calm. Well, I'm waiting for the next one. Logically, if you are there, I'm glad to see you again. And well, it's going to be more fun. It's going to be more fun. With 1 hour and a half, we can do a lot of things.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so everyone, I'm just going to do a last minute housekeeping here. There's a lot of thank yous in the chat, so Carlos, feel free to read the chat later once we're done here today. But here is the survey. If you really enjoyed and would like to give us kudos or some feedback, excuse me, that was unprofessional. Both Carlos and I would appreciate any feedback for today's demonstration. The link is there in the chat. And then if you haven't already joined the Facebook group, you're welcome to share your work as well in our private Facebook community. It is a really great way to see everyone else's work and to share and just kind of enjoy making art with each other. So I'm going to post that link here as well here in the chat. Yeah, and I think that's it. So yeah, there's a lot of thank you, Carlos, from Leticia, from Sergio. Yeah. All right, I think we're going to let you all go here today. So again, thank you everybody for joining us on this Tuesday, demonstration. Good night, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We'll see you at the mini workshop with Carlos. If not, we'll see you elsewhere and continue to make more art.
Yeah,
All
thank
right.
you. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. I hope you enjoyed. See you in the mini workshop. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Ciao.
Bye, everybody.